Alright, this is going to start a series of videos where Miss Bly and I hopefully will show you our little corner of heaven on earth. These are places that are near and dear to us, and this is one of the most dear places I've ever had in my life. If I get just a little emotional, y'all just have to bear with me because this place means so much to me. It's a farm owned by part of the family, and most of my family didn't care much for me. Some of my cousins thought I was pretty cool because I smoked and I drank and I cut up and carried on and I done all kinds of stuff. Their parents, my uncles and aunts, not so darn much. I was the black sheep of the family. This part of the family I stayed away from. I hadn't seen them much in my teenage years. And there's me and Miss Bly. I think I'm going to wave. Yeah, I'm having fun. Even in my grief, I'm having fun. Miss Bly wasn't into this as much as I was, but she was a trooper and she did it. Anyhow, this family, after I finally worked up the nerve to go visit them after many, many years, treated me like I was okay. They didn't hold nothing against me. Never said anything about my past. Told me that the only thing that mattered was what I'd done from then on. And my nose is going to stop up again. This is the skyline pointing near more or less north, I think. I expect the children will correct me and tell me I ain't really pointing north, but I didn't take the compass, so I don't really know. I just know that the general direction of north is, and I knew where the sun come up because I'd done a lot of deer hunting over there. And now I'm rotating on around toward the west. And that field right there is where there were many, many, many a deer seen. And squirrels galore, deer in those woods. And there's a little road, and there's a barn where my cousin had a a lounge set up for a deer stand. Go up there and sit in a darn recliner. Had a cooler with his drinks and everything, and I'm just rotating around. What I'm doing mostly is this is just the third flight on this drone. This is a unique Typhoon H Plus, and I'm still playing with it and still learning it. And down there, that little box, we'll come back to it in just a second. That box right there is a 4x4x4 cube full of dirt. It probably ain't full of dirt right now. It's got so many holes in it. That we used to shoot a backstop. In behind it was so much brush and other biodegradable materials, wood, anything that was biodegradable. We dumped it back there to make a better backstop, but we hardly ever missed what we were shooting at. Some of the boys were a lot better shots than I was, but I learned. And like I said, that I've seen many deer across that field, and we've had to stop shooting and let them pass by because once they get used to you doing something, they don't pay you no attention. They just walk right out in front of you if you're shooting. I've had them come up and stand there and stare at me while I mowed the field back where we shot. They would just stand there and watch. They were curious, and you could see just a tad bit of a pond coming up right in the center of that tree, where that dip is. And we always called it Piggy's Pond. And this may be a little fidgety, a little jerky, but you'll not see it. I mean, it may look like I go past stuff and come back, which I do because I'm still learning this drone. Miss Bly is watching the drone, and I'm watching the view screen, and I find out something that just amazed me that I had no idea this thing would do. And I've caught many fish out there. I think you just seen some fish, 2 or 3 fish, jump right there. That pond has been full of fish, huge catfish, very, very large Georgia hybrid bluegills. Uh, and as I grew older, I switched from just bait and lures to a little fly rod, a little 4-weight fly rod. And I have tangled with some 12, 14-pound blue channel cats on a 4-weight fly rod. And if anybody knows fishing, they'll know that's a handful. We put some carp in there, grass carp in there, and I caught quite a few of them and didn't want to. Not after the first one, I sure didn't want to. On a little black ant that I was taught how to tie. And you talk about a rock. Now you get a hold of about a 14-pound grass carp, and they'll just strip your line plumb off you. They'll be just like that blue channel cat. They'll run you plumb out of your backing. I mean, out of your fly rod line, out of your floating line. I'll get it right in a minute. And plumb into your backing, and you'll be hollering, trying to fight a 14-pound fish on a little 2-weight tippet. It just wore me out. Now see that? I did not know that the drone would zoom. I think that's 2x, could be 4x, I'm not sure. But I have so much fond memories. We used to could keep it clean. Him and the boys would keep it clean. And after the boys grew up, went to college, left home, got married, had their own family, it got to where we couldn't keep it clean. I was crippled by the time he needed me. I was already crippled. And that the right-hand side is where the dam's at, and it shouldn't have them trees on it. Over yonder on the far side, it shouldn't have them trees on it. Somebody has cleaned this side up since I've been down there and looked. I think I may have drove down there one time and looked, but I have caught many a fish standing underneath those trees on this side, casting bait, lures, and fly rod. So I'm going to back away from that now and come on back a little bit towards the landing zone. But I'm not ready to leave that yet. That barren-looking field used to be in orchard grass. They've been planting in soybeans and other stuff here lately. And that is the skyline of the surrounding area, and it's just beautiful to me. I've never seen it from this height. I saw it Sunday, the 25th of August of 2019. That's the first time I've ever seen it from there. We are blessed in this part of North Carolina with multiple streams, creeks, little small rivers. You wouldn't even call them a river. Most people wouldn't even call them a river. And ponds galore. The farmers built irrigation ponds and stock ponds, and everybody stocked their fish. I mean, it was stocked full of cattle and things. But everybody stocked them with fish, and it was fishing. And when I worked for a John Deere dealer, I knew a lot of farmers, and I had access to multiple ponds, and hopefully I can show you some more. Now, that pond coming up right there is a fairly new addition to the farm. I mean, it's been there for a good while now, but it's, as far as the life of the thing goes, it's fairly new. And it is stocked fairly well, and you can't see it, but down to the about 1 o'clock position of that pond is a lagoon. The guy that bought that used that as a holding tank to flood the lagoon to duck hunt in. They were great duck hunters. They didn't deer hunt too much. They allowed us to deer hunt after they bought part of it when the gentleman that owned it died, passed on, they had to divide it up. They got part of it, and they still allowed us access to it as long as we looked after it. And that pond is a fantastic pond. There's a little, right back down there, you can't see it, but it's Hall River, and it ain't much of a river, but that's what they call it. All right, turning back around. Let me see where I'm at. The field, this dirt right there. My cousin used to keep it planted corn for the deer. The greener field over yonder was planted in sunflower seeds, something for dove hunting most of the time. And see, there's some more water over yonder that I've been to on foot, but I've never seen it from this height. And this is just beautiful to me. And if you look right down there to the 11 o'clock position of the center of the video, there's a little thing that looks like a shed. It is a picnic picnic shelter where the other guys, they cook and do things, camp out with the children, and we had doves, dove feast. After you kill enough doves, you go down there and you cook them up and you have feast. And I've been to a couple of them, and it was fun. I got to where I couldn't dove hunt because I can't twist at my waist. But this area is just beautiful to me. There's a road, you see that road, almost see it, going into the woods, and that thing's red clay. It used to be solid red clay, and when it rained, you couldn't stand up on it if you tried. You would bust your butt so fast, and if you tried to get down there in the car, you were not going to get out very easily at all. I've lost my cousin's truck down there until I could get some help to get it out. And this may not be thrilling. This is just the first video. This may not be thrilling to some of you, but this is just thrilling as all get out to me. And that field almost in the center, upper center, to the right of that pond is way up a hill from that pond. They look like they might be on the same level, but they're not. There's a long way down to that pond from that field. And I'm fudging a little bit, crossing a property line. And no harm in it. I just didn't contact the boys that owned that and ask them for permission. I should have. But I'd much rather get forgiveness than ask permission. It's just easier sometimes. But I don't remember whether I helped my cousin plant them 3 trees. There was more than that there. We planted fruit trees to help feed and lure the deer in, because that's a great field to hunt in. That little spot right there, I've killed many a deer down in that place. And I am hardly watching the drone at all. Sarah is down there, Miss Bly is down there watching the drone for me. And she's doing a darn good job. She's got to learn. And she asked me, right there's where she asked me, she said, look down and see whether you're over them trees or not. And I said, I can't tell. So I looked down, and sure enough, I was over the trees. And that made her nervous because we've been in the trees 2 or 3 times. I've been in that 3 at least, and she's been in there once over here at the house. But that's just one of them things. If you fly drones, you're going to lose one eventually, maybe. You're going to hit something, and there's no telling. And I think I missed the last part of this video. I don't know what happened, but I backed out too soon. And if you look just to the 6 o'clock, now I'm going to rotate. I don't remember what I do, but I think I'll get back to it. Some of that water over there may be part of the river. And like I said, it ain't much of a river, but it is a river. And there's that picnic shelter and everything. And I don't know what happened to the last part of this video. I'm fumble-fingered. I'm still learning the controls, so I probably just turned the camera off. But I'm going to come on back now, and we're going to lose video because I've done it. But if you'll see down there next to them 3 trees, back this side of it, just a little ways before the video runs out, there is a deer stand. Used to be a deer stand. I killed many deer out there, so I got to go by